Hey guys, and welcome to another Football Manager video. Today we are continuing our club and country save with Gibraltar and Europe FC, and I've set myself a new goal. The goal is that this episode does not end before we have reached place 15 in the European qualification places. And why place 15, you may ask? Is because it gives right to 2 Champions League path places, which is very much helpful to build up Gibraltar as a country. We start the video off by showing you the biggest signing that we've ever made. 5 million we spent on this guy, but I have really big expectations. Joseba Gonzalez, an insanely good wonder kid, paid 5 million for him. He's on pretty expensive wages, but this guy is an insane winger to have, and unfortunately his potential ability just got downgraded, but he was a 5-star potential ability, so I hope he still gets there. Anyway, if this guy develops and he gets more playing time, then he might be worth a lot more than the 5 million we initially paid for him. So let's hope he keeps on developing and we can make sure that we get a nice little profit from him. We made some other signings, but nothing really worth mentioning. Of course, we're spending more money and the players we are bringing in are getting better and better by the season, but nothing special here. I think all of these you may already think they are quite okay. As you can see, just very well-rounded players, nothing too special, but just enough so we can have some squad depth. And then, one thing, our first wonder kid, a very interesting one. This guy doesn't have the greatest potential. Once again, when I scouted him, he did, so let's hope he can still get there. But this guy is almost already good enough to fit into the first team if you look at his technicals and physicals. If he can develop, he might be something for the future. If he doesn't develop, then he won't, and then we just move him on as quickly as well. You know what time it is? It is time to sim to the end of the season, so I will see you in a blip. And that's a wrap of the 7th season. Gibraltar Football League. We have finished on top again, which is very good to see. It was close with Lincoln, who also knocked us out in the Rock Cup, but eventually didn't win it. St. Joseph actually won it, so very nice for them, and they're like the 3rd best club in Gibraltar at the moment. Then Pepperijs Cup, we did actually win it, and let's take a closer look in the Champions League where we got knocked out in the league phase. It was a season to forget in the Champions League, losing all games in the group stage and also tying with just the one, which didn't give us a lot of income, but hey, we can only do better from here next season. And with the transfer budget of 4 million, I decided to spend big on 2 youngsters. Luis Alfonso Guardado, a young goalkeeper who's looking very promising. He's going to be our starting goalkeeper for next season. And Gonzalo Cordero, also a youngster who's very good as a right or left back. So we'll be playing him there, hopefully. And let's hope that these guys can both develop very well and become insane players in the future. Hey! 93.5% of you are not subscribed to my channel yet. Please do consider subscribing, as it really helps me out a ton and it keeps me motivated to make more awesome content. With that out of the way, let's move on to the video. For the past 3 years I've got this message whenever I wanted to ask for a coaching course. They're saying that they don't want to give it because they fear that bettering myself could lead bigger clubs for my service, but I will never leave them, but they just don't know. So I'm not getting another coaching course, which is very sad to see because it would only help us improve more, but unfortunately it is what it is, and we'll just have to wait to build up Europe FC stature in the game more. And how do we do that? To reach the Champions League every time again and to make sure that more players play into the Gibraltar Football League. 1.5 million I have to spend on more players to bring in. A couple of players are going to be leaving, some we might even want to sell because they are on too high wages or they are just not good enough anymore, so we'll see what we can do. Anyway, I am going to try to spend all of the transfer budget this year because I really want to see us get some wins in the Champions League to get some more prize money in. I'm going to be simming to the end of the season, make some signings, and I'll see you back in a blip. 2 signings made, one of them Guido Palma, 2 million from Independiente, very nicely, very well rounded this guy, very happy with him. And another signing, and we signed this player on a free. The other person we signed, Justin Persson, very good player, driven personality, 19 determination, has some potential ability, got released by Ajax, so we picked him up on a free. He's going to be a backup for us, but a very good backup. We don't have a lot of players, so he might get a game in here and there. So this is the team that's going to do it for Season 8. None of the signings that we just made it into the first team, but of course Cordero did, which is very nice to see. ball playing defender. We are retraining him and he is a very good prospect for the future, hopefully. Before I sim to the end of Season 8, let me just show you one little thing. And that is Gibraltar Football League, 49th in the world. In 2025 we were 96th, so we're really making steps there. If we go ahead and we check the qualification places, then you can see that we are in 23rd. Our goal before this episode ends is to reach the top 15, and we'll see if we can make it. Anyway, we got 3 places last season. Let's see how many places we can gain in the next season. I'll be back in a blip when I sim through the 8th season. The end of Season 8, and we have once again finished on top after the championship group. And in the Champions League we actually did really good, making it out of the group with wins against Union Berlin, Pogon and Feyenoord, and even drawing Real Madrid. But the biggest stunt came after we went through to the knockout stages, where we beat Liverpool 4-1 at home, but unfortunately lost 0-4 away. All of these wins and going through another round meant that we got 20 million extra into our finances, and a lot of that gotten into our transfer budget, with which we did spend big this season. But before we jump into the transfers at the end of the transfer window, I wanted to show you that we also won the Pepe Reyes Cup, and we've also done the treble by beating Lincoln 3-6 in the final of the Rock Cup. The aim for this episode was to reach the top 15 on the Nation Coefficient, and we're currently 19th. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4 counties to beat until we are in 15th spot, and I think if we have a successful year like last year again, we should definitely be able to beat them. Currently we're on 24,000 points. That means that if we do reach the Champions League again, and if we do manage to actually do well again, then we might make another big step towards that top 15 in the coefficient list. Since the nation of Gibraltar was on the 23rd position last season, we do start in the Champions path and in the second round, which means that we skip the first round altogether, and it makes it easier for us to qualify for the Champions League. Let's run down to the players that we have bought with that transfer money that we've gotten. As you can see, a lot of youngsters as well, and there we have the big signing, Sully for 5 million. I just want to get back to him real quick. As you can see, very decent players, some rotational, some backups, and some for the future. But then Sully, insane player, going to be playing a lot for us, only 24 years old, one of the best players in the team already, looking very good physically, mentally and technically, so happy to have him in and to be spending the big bucks. He is on 26k a week as well, so he is earning quite a lot. And then let's jump into the transfers that are officially for this season, because the next season we had a pretty big sale, I would say. Jesus Camona, I didn't want to sell him. The board agreed the transfer for 60 million, which is, if you look at this guy, really a lot. He left to Genk for 12.25. We bought him for 600k, and this guy had an insane career. We bought him, then we sold him, and then we bought him back. And now he's finally left to Genk for a potential fee of 60 million, which is very nice. And then we had to buy someone in his place, so we did. We bought Boya Alonso, and this guy is going to play a lot, but not too much, because he's a fickle personality and I don't like the personality very much. But he will do just fine for a couple of seasons. The problem that we currently have is that our reputation of the club is not high enough for players to actually want to join us, so we can't really make a lot of upgrades. So what I'll be doing is I'll be searching for a lot of good wonder kids, but unfortunately nothing yet so far. Next season I'll try to find more, and I'll try to find out if we can actually sign some, and we'll see if we can actually bring in some better players. But we just need to keep performing well in Europe and doing well, increasing the reputation of the nation, of the league and of our club, and eventually players might want to join. Anyway, that's it for this season. Let's sim forward and let's see how we did in season 9 and if we actually made it into the top 15 on the Nation Coefficient. While we're at it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you like this content, and I will see you in a blip. Season 9 has come to an end, and once again we are Gibraltarian champions. Champions League did very well in the qualification rounds, then only lost except for 2 games, which meant we didn't go through to the knockout stages unfortunately, so a little bit worse than last season. The Rock Cup we've won again, and as you can see we're really increasing the reputation of that cup as well. And for the Pepe Reyes Cup, the Super Cup, we've also won it once again 4 times in a row now, and we're playing very soon once again against Lincoln, the other big club from Gibraltar, to see if we can make it a 5th in a row. This season we once again got a very big transfer budget of 90 million, but we're not going to spend it because we also really can't. We can't really get a lot of upgrades in before we start increasing the reputation, so it's going to be key that the teams in our league also improve and we also improve. What I can do, however, is fill up the staff with all the possible best coaches and physios and scouts that we can get. And as you can see, at the beginning of the series we had 3 coaches and 1 physio, and I think 2 scouts, and now we have a whole team already behind us who's keeping us on top of the Gibraltar League. And while we can't spend our transfer budget, our finances just keep growing and growing, and this isn't even added the Champions League money that we get this year. I want to upgrade the youth facilities all the time, but the board won't really let me because the option isn't there. So if we go ahead and go to facilities, you'll see that we have state-of-the-art training facilities, but just adequate youth facilities. So whenever possible, I'm going to try to upgrade that once again, so that we also can get to state-of-the-art youth facilities, which would be very good to bringing Gibraltar, the nation, to a next level. Luckily we did make some progress in the coaching license. We are now studying for A, which is very good, and which means that we'll be better in-game and better behind the scenes when training up our players. We are currently in 18th spot in the Nation Cooeficient with Gibraltar, and we are aiming for the 15th spot in this episode, but it might be hard because you need to perform really well in Europe to actually reach that, and we are also reliant on the other teams in Gibraltar. Anyway, with the transfer budget that we've got, I'm going to make some signings, I'm going to bring some players in, and I might even buy a player from one of the Gibraltarian teams so that they can have a lot more money to spend and hopefully perform better in Europe. We're back after the 9th season with Europe FC, and we've once again been crowned champions. And let's just move on to the Champions League, where we've once again done very well, reaching the knockout stages with wins over Red Bull Leipzig, Benfica, Feyenoord, Lask and Roma. And as for the other 2 cups where we participate in, you will find that we once again won the Rock Cup and as well the Pepe Reyes Cup. But we're going to be doing something different from now on. And that is, we'll be signing a lot more youngsters, and we finally got more reputation to sign higher profile players, which is nice. Because as you can see, we've dropped down to 22nd again. That was because we had some bad years here, but now we are doing once again very well. We need to be reaching the knockout stages in the Champions League, and we also need the rest of the clubs in Gibraltar to do well in Europe, which as of now hasn't really happened. So what we'll be doing is we'll be reinvesting some money into the league, and we'll also be signing some better players. And I have signed an absolutely insane amount of new players, all of them a lot better. And let me just show you the 3 forwards that I've gotten. They will make the biggest impact of all the players we've signed. Oliveira, Mexican insane player, look how well rounded he is, and we've only paid 375k for him. Then Kevin Urzua, look at all those greens, not physically the best, mentally okay, but technically very gifted and is going to be a rotational player for us for sure. Then Mattia Rivalta, Italian striker, insanely good. Look at those technicals, mentals and physicals. He has everything that he needs. Only cost us also 2.5 million. Then a big signing, Kevin Catala. Look how insane this guy is. Physically insane, mentally a beast, and technically could be better, but just as that pressing forward, he is insanely good. And then the last signing, Robin Goossens, a centre back, very well rounded, just a standard centre back that you need in any team. 11 million we spent on him, and he is going to be a centre back, and he's right here to stay. I don't think this guy will leave this team in the next 5 years. And that's all there is to tell. What I'll be doing now is I'll probably be simming forward until we've reached that 15th position. So it might take 1 or 2 years, but I do believe that in 2 years we might be there. So I will see you in a blip when we've reached number 15 on the Nation Cooeficient. It's 2035 and we finally reached the 15th spot with Gibraltar in the Nation Club Coefficient. 35,000 points was enough for us to actually make it into the 15th position, and now our goal is to retain it and hopefully expand upon it with the help of other Gibraltarian clubs. Why is the 15th position so important? Well, it gives right to another Champions League spot. So you're now playing in the Champions path and you're playing in the League path, which is very nice. So you have twice the income of the Champions League, and also you have twice the possibility of getting into the group stage. We have 1 European place now for the third qualifying rounds and 2 for the Conference League. So those are very nice. 5 positions in the league that give us right to play in Europe, which hopefully mean that we can score more points for the Nation Coefficient. Let me take you through the last 2 years in the Gibraltar League. Of course, we won it last season and we won it this season, although we did score a little less goals. Then also in the Champions League, 2 seasons ago, we made it pretty far. We did beat Sporting in the first knockout rounds, but then we lost against Real Madrid 1-2 and 0-1, which was very unfortunate. However, last season we actually did very well in the Champions League, making it to the final, where we got beat by Newcastle United, unfortunately. But it made sure that we earned a lot of Nation Coefficient points, which now in turn means that we are of course in that 15th position. As for the other competitions, we did keep winning the Rock Cup twice, and also of course the Super Cup of Gibraltar, the Pepe Reyes Cup, we also won twice again, with also Lincoln coming in second as they always do. As for the transfers, I'm not walking you through all of them, but I'm just showing you the big signings that we made. We did buy Robin Goossens for Anderlecht, who is currently playing for us and is doing very well. And also sold Nelson Delgado, very big sale, to Liverpool. Then in last season, we did bring in another very good player, Anthony Manresa, 23-year-old wingback. 90 million for him, because we do have an insane transfer budget every year now. And as for player sales, we have sold Jutgla for 7 million to Club Brugge, and we're currently working with a transfer budget of 52 million, so that's a lot, because as you can see in the finances we have 80 million, and that's all to do to us doing very good in the Champions League and getting a lot of prize money. To give you a kind of feel of how good our players are currently, I'm going to be showing you our 3 best players that we currently have in the club. Manuel Bello, as you can see, a very good youngster, brought him in last year for 5 million. A very good player, playing him as a defensive midfielder, and physically and mentally he is of course a beast. Then also Jose Pellicari, who's actually going to leave us because he doesn't want to play for us anymore, but also a very good player, great physicals. Technically not the best, but mentally very well rounded. And of course we have Robin Goossens, who we just brought in from Anderlecht, who actually wants to leave, but I'm going to try to keep him at Gibraltar for the longest time, so that we are able to hopefully make it far again into the Champions League. Last but not least, I'm going to be showing you how we're doing with Gibraltar. Currently 118th, which isn't too bad if I do say so myself. One of our players has already started playing outside of Europe. Noah Reed is playing for the Go Ahead Eagles, and this guy is absolutely not bad. He came from our youth, if I'm not mistaken, sold him on for a very cheap fee, and for the Go Ahead Eagles he has already scored 6 and got 1 assist in the 2nd division of the Netherlands. So not a bad player. He's not good enough for us, but he's good enough for the national team for sure. As you can see, if we keep getting these kind of players, then we can keep climbing the world ranking, but for that of course we first need to upgrade all the facilities from all the teams in Gibraltar. Last thing I'm showing you is how we played in a few games with Gibraltar. As you can see, 12-2 against Liechtenstein and 1-1 against Norway isn't too bad. The year after we were placed in a higher division group and we really got smashed. So that was just a bit too much for us. And now, this year, we've drawn against Germany, which is not quite too bad. We have also barely lost against Sweden. So for the European Champion qualification spots, we might have a slight chance to go through. It would be nice. It would mean that we're playing in the Euros next season. But of course, for that, first a little miracle has to happen. Anyway, that's it for now. I want to thank you for watching. In the next episode we're going to be simming forward another couple of seasons to see how great of a country we can make Gibraltar. For now, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next episode.